in the studio to assess that. Matt Elliott will remain in his commentary position and talk us through that, in the end, disappointing results. Performance-wise, we can talk about that in just a moment, but it has finished Leicester 0, Man City 2. Jerry, as it's two of your former clubs, I'll let you do the honours of going first and assessing how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm utterly disappointed with the result, goes without saying. I don't think the keeper had a save to make for Leicester in the second half. He picked the ball out of the net once, so again, you've got to say the performance levels from Leicester were good. But as we know, the reality of football is about results, and Ruud on this row will be back in the dressing room, unfortunately, with another defeat to his name. Leicester played some really good stuff in that second half and in the first half, and had nothing to show for it in regards to goals or result. And that's, frustrating and disappointing, because they've worked hard today. They played well today, Leicester.
I'm nowhere near as downhearted as I was this time last week, Dan. Because I've seen a really good performance. I've seen a performance that will have lifted many, many Leicester City fans, and a performance that if they can replicate from now until the end of the season, in the second half of the season, this is the 19th game. We are now halfway point in the Premier League season. If they can replicate that type of performance, they will give themselves a great chance of avoiding relegation. It's the best 90 minutes I've seen from Leicester City this season. Sometimes in football you don't get what you deserve, and I think today is one of those days against a good side who are they're having a bit of a bad time for the standards that they've set. But I think that performance today, a standard has been set. It will drop marginally. You can't let it go from what it was today to what it was last week against Wolves. But as Tag said, football is about winning football games, scoring goals. What's that, 4 consecutive defeats now, and haven't scored in 3 of the last 4. The goals have dried up. Saying that, I thought we created some really good opportunities today. I thought we should have scored today. 100% we should have scored. But the overall performance in general, I thought, was as good as I've seen from Leicester City.
Yeah, do you agree, Matt Elliott, having watched that on co-commentary?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Just watching the Man City players traipsing off the pitch. They've all been over to their supporters. Pep Guardiola's making a big point of it, to go and acknowledge the supporters who all stayed behind. So it shows how much this means to Man City, but also how far Leicester City have pushed them today. They're massively relieved. 1, to get this result, but 2, to get the win against Leicester. How well they've played today, and as the boys said, it is frustrating, isn't it? And you can't help but be disappointed. But I think the overriding emotion, is one of positivity, really. Looking at that, Leicester have probably for the first time this season, shown the levels that they're capable of. You made a point there of saying that's the best 90 minutes that you've seen of Leicester City this season, without any shadow of a doubt, because Leicester up to now have only played in moments, really, a little mini phases of a game. They very rarely control large sections of the game. And I wouldn't say they're totally dominant today, of course, they're not losing the game, we've got to be mindful of that. But all things considered, that was the best performance by some distance, I think, taking everything into account. But they actually were in charge of the not just possession, of the running of the game. And of course, Man City will say the opposite because of the scoreline. But Leicester had a confidence about their play. There was a togetherness. They all had an understanding. Off the ball as well, it was evident, you could see that they were all in unison. They were all talking and communicating with each other. People looking over their shoulders. People getting a shout from behind. There was organisation from the back. You have to say from Cody and Vestergaard, instigate from there, but all the way through, and you know, and that's before you start talking about individual performances on the ball. Mavadidi, Samare, excellent. Bonanotte, majority of the game, and that man Canute, whose influence faded towards the latter stage of the game, but the first 60, 70 minutes he was exceptional, wasn't he? It was joy to watch.
Yeah, it was a good performance individually wise from a number of those players. And yes, we have to be mindful, obviously, it says at the bottom of your screen there, Leicester 0, Man City 2, but we can talk in a positive light about that, Jerry, can't we?
Yeah, I think, we've all already said it, the performance levels today were right up there. Some of the football as well. Really positive play. Harry Wakes looked the part today. Samare, Bonanotte, El Canous, obviously. The back line, as I said, we've lost the game 2-0. I think Man City had 5 shots on target all afternoon, and I would say the majority of them came in the first half, because I can't remember too many shots still actually had to make in the second half, apart from, obviously Man City have scored in that second half. So as much as it is frustrating and it's disappointing, and we all feel a little bit down, a little bit sorry for ourselves, moving forward, then, there are things to look forward to. And then again, on the flip side, like you're talking about Leicester playing a Man City team that, haven't been on form, haven't been playing that well, and haven't been getting results. And yet they come here and beat us 2-0. So there's two ways of looking at it today, but I suppose you've got to keep on the darker blue side of the story, and say that there are some good positives out of today's game.
Yeah, they can take that, Ewan, can't they?
Dan, 100%, and I think you have to. I mean, there was absolutely no positives to be taken from last week. This result today, yes, it's a hard one to take because the lads have given it everything. The work rate was there, the togetherness, the way they closed down as a team, the way they played through Man City at times. Look, the real threat on the counter-attack with the pace, the chances that were created, maybe not as many in the second half as there was in the first half. Half a shout for the penalty early in that first half.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure. Was it Bonanotte who went through? I'm not sure if he stood on Ake's leg, to be honest with you. I mean, I know Ake sort of, he has slid in. I'd have been disappointed had it been given against Leicester in our penalty box, if that makes sense. I don't think it was a penalty. I mean, Jamie Vardy had half a chance, didn't he, when Mavadidi's put a great ball into the 6-yard box. Just had a little bit too much on it. As I say, this result today isn't going to define Leicester City's season. I think there's a mini league now of 5-6 teams. Yeah. And I think it's the results against those teams in that bottom 5 or 6 which will sort of make our fate at the end of the season. And if they can play like that against the likes of your Southamptons, your Evertons, your Crystal Palaces, your Ipswich Towns, they've got a great chance of avoiding relegation.
That's a good way of looking at it, Jerry.
Yeah, it is. But for me, I think we've got to start taking points from, the 5-6 teams above, the 5-6 teams that Ewan's talking about. And today, was an opportunity against an out-of-form Man City. Okay, it's Manchester City at the end of the day, but it's an out-of-form Man City. Lots of teams have taken points off them. And for me, today was an opportunity, even though form in recent times hasn't been great. But there's still plenty of football between now and the end of the season. There's players to come back to fitness, which hopefully will happen sooner rather than later, which will give the squad a boost, give the players in the dressing room a boost, give the manager a boost, and hopefully, in the not too distant future, we can start grinding out a few results, and that will then in turn grow confidence, grow momentum, and hopefully we can move on from there.
I think sometimes in a season it takes a win to sort of turn your season around. I think even though we've lost today, this performance can turn things around for Leicester.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope you're right as well.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
What he's saying, you know, everything starts with a performance. It's as simple as that. Some of the football Leicester played today was as assured as I've seen in a long time. You know, and bear in mind we're playing against Man City, who, you know, invented a style of football that no one can, to this day, get the grips with. And so Leicester took part in a game where them on the eye, looking easy on the eye, they were as good as Man City at that.
Yeah, and you look at the run coming up, Matt. Take away the FA Cup game against QPR. Just in the league, it's Villa away, Palace at home, Fulham at home, Spurs away, Everton. You know, there's results, there's games in there. Sorry, that you can look at and think, right, take the confidence from today into those, and we will have a real chance.
If Leicester perform, yeah, there's possibilities there, isn't there? But it doesn't sound quite as straightforward as you're making it out to me. But listen, but I know what you're saying. There are opportunities there if Leicester are at it, and they're quite up and down with their results. A lot of those teams, aren't they? So you catch them on the right day, anything's possible. It was a straight. It's not a regular statement that Ewan just came out with there, but you can see exactly what he's thinking, and you know, I'm of similar mind as well. I think you saw a way of playing, a sort of togetherness, a connection with the players today that you haven't seen since the start of the season, certainly. And there's no reason why that can't be advanced on and developed, really, because you know the confidence, the ability is there. They've shown that. Now, those players have got to take some heart from how they performed today and take that into the next run of games, because you know, it's getting to the stage of the season where the poor run, the lack of wins is, you know, becoming an issue, regardless of what you think of the first stage of the season and how Leicester have performed. And you know, now they need to start churning out results, and but with performances like that will certainly help. And no, that was good to see today. And I think it's more than just a sort of one-off. I'd like to think so. I think it's like the sort of culmination of little ideas, little adjustments that perhaps Ruud van Nistelrooy is putting into the players' minds there as well. But also, that was probably his most attacking-based lineup that he's been able to pick, injuries aside, since he's been at the club. And I thought they came together really well. It looked to me like there was, I mentioned in the commentary, to me there was genuine Premier League quality in that team. And the players played with a belief in themselves, and they're going to need plenty of that going forward.
How do you take you and that, what Matt effectively is saying? How do you take okay, we've lost a game 2-0 today at home, but actually it was a really good performance. Let's take confidence from this.
Yeah. I think you've just got to look at the way you made Man City at times look very average. The way that Leicester played through them. And as I said, Tag said about being brave on the ball. I thought we were. You know, when we got the ball into Harry Winks, into Samara, when they then passed it forward earlier to the forward players in Mavididi, in Buonanotte, and especially in El Kanous, we looked a real threat, Dan. You know, if you look at the 4 defeats, right, Newcastle away, Tags and Marty will tell you, it's a tough place to go.
Yeah.
St James's Park is a tough place to go. Yeah, they scored 4 goals on the day, and I accept that. Anfield, not many teams come anything away from. I mean, there was a saying back in the day, all you get at Anfield is a cup of tea and a sandwich. It's a tough place to go. This one today against Man City, won the Premier League the last 4 seasons. The one that's hurt in the 4 is last week. The lads let themselves down last week. They went up to Anfield and put on a much better performance in a tough place to go. They've added on to that with the best performance of the season so far against Man City today. Yeah, come away empty-handed, you take that on the chin, but you have to work and look at the positive. You look at the reaction on social media. Every single one that I've read on the screen in front of us has been best performance, by far the better team, should have got something out of the game. Supporters aren't stupid.
Yeah.
And you look at their possession stats. How many times their team have more possession than Man City in a game of football?
Never.
There
Never
you go.
happens.
And I know, I'm not big into stats like that, but as I was talking earlier, you know, Leicester were very, very good in possession of the ball. They used the ball well most of the time, so you can't have any arguments from anybody really, apart from the obvious what happens in both boxes.
Yeah.
And it's one of the oldest cliches in football, but it's the truest. It's what happens in your box and it's what happens in their box.
And it's all right as being ultra positive, and with every right to be ultra positive with this performance. The lads can't then let it drop to what it was against Wolves. I was talking earlier about the 3 games over the Christmas period. You know, the Liverpool away, Man City home, and then Villa. Would supporters have taken 3 draws from those games? Probably would have. Still got a chance of getting 3 points. I know it's going to be a tough ask going to Aston Villa, but you've still got a chance of getting 3 points from 3 very, very tough games. I don't think any team in the Premier League's got a harder sort of Christmas window than what Leicester have had with the games they've had to play.
Yeah, it's a good point. And with a number of injuries as well. And some bad luck. They hit the woodwork twice today, but weren't able to score past Ortega. We'll be back again in 2025, though. Don't worry about that, of course, with Matchday Live. That trip to Aston Villa. We're already looking ahead to it now. And those Leicester players and Ruud van Nistelrooy himself, I'm sure, will absolutely be doing the same thing. That is on the 4th of January. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, so you can join us from 2. There's also Mads' Christmas surprise visit to a young supporter, which you can watch on the website, on Foxes Hub, on the app as well, at your leisure over the next couple of days. Big thank you to Ewan Roberts, to Jerry Taggart and to Matt Elliott for their company, not just today, but all year, the whole of 2024, of course, which had some real highs for the Foxes as well, didn't it? Winning promotion straight back up to the Premier League. Hopefully next year will be another year of fantastic memories, fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you everyone who's watched today. It was a good performance. As we said, they hit the woodwork twice. They just weren't able to beat the champions. Thank you though for watching. Have a great new year, and we'll see you all in 2025.